Oil and gas prices are determined by supply and demand. When you have a high supply of oil and not that much demand, that's when the price of gas goes down. And that's exactly what we saw happen in 2020 because we had a bunch of oil refineries pumping oil like normal, but then the whole world shut down. So nobody was driving, nobody was flying, nobody was manufacturing anything. So we had a very low requirement for oil. That's why we saw gas prices crash, in some cases to below $1 a gallon. Now, as people and companies are living their lives again, we have a high demand for oil, but the supply of oil really hasn't been keeping up. And now because of the war between Russia and Ukraine, we have a lower supply of oil, which is contributing to the higher oil costs. President Biden came out and he banned Russian oil along with a lot of other countries, which means we have a lower supply of oil coming into the United States. In 2021, less than 5% of the United States oil came from Russia. So if Russia isn't a major supplier of the United States oil, because we do have other suppliers of oil like Canada, then why are our gas prices going up so fast? Because oil prices are set on a global basis, and now because everybody's worried about potential supply chain disruptions in the oil market, that's been driving up the price of oil, which has been contributing to higher gas prices. Now, the reason why you see different gas prices around the country, like the reason why gas in California is so much more expensive than gas in Michigan, for example, is because one, you have to look at how far this area, this state is from a supplier of oil. The further that gasoline has to travel, the more it's going to cost. And second, every state and every region is going to have their own requirements as to how the gas needs to perform. California, for example, has very strict requirements on what type of gasoline that you can pump, which means that now if you're a gas station in California, you're going to have to pay for a more premium and a better type of gasoline, which means that ultimately the consumer is going to have to pay more for their gas because there's less companies making the gasoline that California wants, and it's a lot more expensive to produce. When Russia initially invaded Ukraine, I was in Jamaica. Beautiful country, beautiful people, amazing food. I loved it over there. And when I was over there, somebody that stayed on the same resort as me worked in the Texas oil business. And I was talking to him about what's going on. I wanted to get his thoughts about oil prices and gas prices. And he told me that gas prices are going to go up pretty significantly. But what was interesting is he said that the United States has the ability to be completely dependent of United States oil. We have the ability to not rely on foreign oil, but partially because of an executive order that President Biden passed in 2021, we're not able to produce all that oil here in the United States, making us more dependent on foreign oil. President Biden wants to push the United States towards more green energy, to a more green environment, which is good. I mean, everybody should want to take care of the environment. The only problem with that is right now, we are still in an economy that's very heavily dependent on oil. So we're pushing more towards a green energy and green environment when we are still dependent on oil, which makes us more reliant on foreign oil. It's not like our oil consumption has drastically decreased. Our oil consumption is still there, but now we're just more reliant on foreign oil. And now because Russia is one of the leading suppliers of energy to the world, we're more dependent on countries like Russia. And so everything going on between Russia and Ukraine now is creating disruptions in the energy market and the energy supply chain, but we in the United States are more dependent on foreign energy. That makes us more susceptible to these rising oil prices. At this point, you might be thinking something like, Jaspreet, can't we just have these oil companies in the United States start drilling for more oil right now? And yeah, we're starting to see some of that happen right now, except the problem with that is if we start drilling for more oil today, that doesn't mean the gas prices are going to go down tomorrow or next week or even next month. First, it's going to take time for an oil company to go research and find a new oil well. And then from the day they start drilling until the day we start really seeing the effects of this oil, it's going to take 6 to 12 months. So even if the United States started to drill for more oil right now, it would take months, if not a year, to see the effects of this new oil on our gas prices. But then the second issue has to do with the incentives of the oil companies. A number of oil company CEOs and executives have come out and they said that the current economic and regulatory environment doesn't make it very attractive for them to go out and start researching and investing to find more oil wells. Let me just read you a quote. This CNN article talked to a bunch of oil executives and financial executives, and what it said is that, quote, oil and gas companies do not want to drill more. These oil and gas companies are under pressure from the financial community to pay more dividends, do more share buybacks, instead of doing the drill baby drill, which is the way they would have done things 10 years ago. Part of the The reason for that is that you have shareholders on Wall Street that own the shares of these oil companies that want to see a return on their money right now. And the other part of that is that you have a lot of pressure by the administration who want to remove oil subsidies, which make it harder for a business to operate if you want to drill oil, because that means you have higher costs because you have less tax breaks that you can take. So it starts to create a little bit of a dilemma because we want green energy, we just can't have it right now. If you enjoyed this short clip from my longer videos, here's another clip that I think you'll love. And while you're at it, if you're interested in learning more about how to start generating passive income, our team put together an amazing guide that goes over what passive income is, how to start generating passive income, and different passive income strategies. All you gotta do is click that button right over there. Thank you for watching, and as always, keep hustling.